डॉक्टर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकर ओपन यूनिवर्सिटी.
Good afternoon, dear students. Welcome in Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University in Chaitanya Studio. Today I am going to deliver about the lecture on cyber security, Master of Science. I am Dr. Lata Gadvi from Government Polytechnic Gandhinagar in IT department. Today's subject is MSCCS 203, Application and Network Security. Block 1, System Security. In this block 1, we are going to deliver about unit 1, desktop security. The main objective and structure of this unit that to be get to the knowledge about define a desktop security, definition of the desktop computer, understand the meaning of securing desktops, know the need for desktop security, know the desktop security policies, remember the password policies for security, what is the need of the desktop security. These all the things today I am going to deliver in this lecture. So first of all, we are going to take the lecture about the introduction of the desktop security. The desktop, what is the desktop? So the desktops are more vulnerable to security threats and attacks through intrusions. So it is very crucial to have a desktop security policy by an organization. So every organization needs some security for their computer networks. Otherwise, what happens? The desktops will serve as the gateways to access the organization's highly valuable and confidential information assets. So in this unit, we will discuss different ways to ensure security of desktop computers as well as laptops and notebooks in a network computing environment by enforcing security policies and technologies within an organization. So the definition of the desktop security, for that, which are the security threats and which are the essential for the providing the security to that organization. Now, overview of computer security. Now, actually the computer security is like a chess game between the attacker and security administrator. The attacker only needs to find a single vulnerability to penetrate the system, while the administrator needs to patch all holes to ensure computer security. So that patches are here informed to find out the which type of information are monitored in that network. So we cannot add security but only we can reduce the insecurity. So totally we can't reduce the insecurity in our system. So computer system is never 100% be secured. Now, definition of desktop computer. What can be defined as a desktop computer? So desktop computer is a personal computer designed for a regular use at a single location or near a desk or table due to its size and power requirements. Now, the most common configuration has a case that encloses the power supply, motherboard, a printed circuit. What is the motherboard? A printed circuit board with a microprocessor as a central processing unit, that is a CPU, then memory, bus and other electronic components. Then disk storage, usually one or more disk drives can be considered in the disk storage. Disk drives, that is optical disk drives, a keyboard and a mouse for input, a monitor and additionally a printer for output. That can be the part of whole desktop system. Now for this whole system, this desktop system, we need security. So on desktop security, it may state that all unattended IT equipments must have appropriate and approved security protection. So we are required to provide the security protection to all this system. Now, essentiality of the desktop security desktops, why we need to be made that system secure. So desktop is the entry point to the organization. Everyone we know that through desktop that all the communication is happened. So in the any organizations that is a part of the information resources. So if the security of the desktop is weak, then potential intruders can easily bypass the first obstacle. So the aim of that intruders can be identified and they can easily go in that system. So some of the threats that need to be constantly communicated to desktop users, which are the threats can be considered over here. So first can be using programs that send password to the intended person. Sometimes we are receiving the passwords from the different persons, or that password is sent for the hacking that system. Then bad password management, if we have not make that system password that much strong, weak password, then sharing password, never change password, etc. Then guest accounts or open accounts may be the part of that threats, social engineering attacks, then virus and other malicious code of attacks can be the threat of that system. Then unsolicited email attachment, sometimes emails in the email, whenever you are receiving some emails, in that you can also getting some attachments, and if you are opening that attachment, through that the threats can be spreaded in the system, in that desktop system. Then downloading software from untrusted internet sites. Sometimes what happens, we are downloading some software, sometimes we need some types of software, and if it is not licensed software and we are using that software or downloading that software, then it can be the part of the threat maybe. Then installing software from untrusted sources. If we have downloaded that software and we are clicking on the .exe file or that file, then that threat can be spreaded in that system. Then modem connection to desktop within the LAN, thus creating a backdoor. Modem can be a part of that connection. Then unattended desktop without screen lock. If we are not locking the screen, then packet sniffing. What is the meaning of packet sniffing? Packet sniffing is actually providing the monitoring of the whole system. So active monitoring of the system can be done by the packet sniffing. So if whatever you are doing in your system, that can be monitored by the packet sniffing. So some packets are sent and you are connecting with some system or softwares, so that all that things, activities are monitored in this whole system. Then bad desktop management, like no antivirus you have installed, outdated virus signature, no backups you have taken, no desktop lock, opens folder shares without password, opening insecure access, etc. These are all the threats that can be harmful for our desktop system. So we have to be aware about this. All types of that threats can be part of the security concern. Now, what do you mean by securing desktop? Now that we also know that if you are securing your desktop, so which steps you are required to be follow, which types of protection you are required to give to your system. So securing desktop within an organization means the following, like protection of the desktop software and its configuration to allow for its continued use. So during the configuration of the software, you are required to protect your desktop system. Then protection of the local desktop, like supporting files and configuration. Then the control of employees' behavior on the desktop and the protection of the content. Then ensuring confidentiality, integrity and availability. These three terms are most essential for the security terminology. That is a confidentiality, integrity and availability of sensitive data and databases in an organization. So these three things are required to be maintained in any organization for securing the desktop. Now, desktop security policies. So some policies are defined for securing the desktop. So we are required to follow all the policies for making our system very secure. So basic list of the security policies would include an antivirus program, everyone we know that antivirus is required to be installed in our system for making our system safe. Then use of license and open source software. So licensed software are required to be installed in our system, only licensed software. If you are not getting licensed software, then don't go for the pirated software. You have another option. You can go for the open source software. That can be the helpful for the getting the all the required software, which if you are not able to install the licensed software, then you can go for the open source software. Then you are required to update your software regular basis. So that software updates is required. Then anti-spyware, a personal firewall. That firewall has to be on during for your system configuration, and that whenever you are serving on that system. Then file encryption software, etc. A security solution as follows. Like each one of these mechanism will help ensure at least one or more of the three basic principles of security that I already told, that confidentiality, integrity and availability are addressed properly. So we are required to make sure that these three main principles of the security are maintained or not. So which things you can take care of for that, for providing the security or for making the protection against the cyber attacks. So this figure showing us like the use security password that much strong, so your system can be very much secure first. Then log your phone or your device or system, whatever. So it will be a two-step or one-step verification code may be required, or you are required to close your phone. For your closing your opening your phone, you are required to send the password. Then avoid phishing. Sometimes phishing is coming, so that you are required to avoid. Use antivirus. Install specific antivirus for your system. Visit only trusted websites, which are authenticated websites that you are required to visit. Check your privacy settings, that everyone are not able to edit this system. So these are the protection against the cyber attacks. Like as example, antivirus. So now we are going to deeply explain about this all the terms, like how to protect our system through these policies which we have defined earlier. Like antivirus, what is the meaning of antivirus and how we are required to install in our system? So there are different types of antivirus are available. Based on that, we can select specific antivirus. If your system is based on the operating system, if it is a operating system based on the Windows, or it's a Linux operating system, based on that you can select the antivirus. So first, install and maintain current antivirus software. It has to be also updated. So antivirus software. Check for and install any updates to both the software and virus definition on a regular basis. So you are required to update your software, that is antivirus, in a regular basis. The software will check incoming data for viruses. Scan your computer for existing viruses and make sure no one is installing data collecting software or your computer without your knowledge. That is also an important task. So this is about the antivirus. Then second one is the license and open source software, right? So for software, we are talking about the software. So whenever you are going to install any software, that software has to be first, it has to be a licensed software. But if you have not that option, if you are not able to install the licensed software, then you have the another option, that is a open source software. So all the software you use for your work should also be from reputable sources, that you are required to check that it is from the authentic sources or not, with valid licensing and regularly updated, or otherwise use open source software, that you can go for it. Pirated software can contain malware as well as being illegal. It is not also legal, so that has to be avoided by us. Setting your software to auto update means it will always be protected against the latest threats. So whenever you update regularly your softwares, whichever you have installed in your system, then there is no worry for the threats, because it is always getting the protection against the latest threats. Then third one is the software updates. So regularly check for and ensure that software updates, patches are installed. This includes also, but is not limited to operating system updates. If you are only updating your operating system, that does not mean that only that whole software of the system is updated. So application patches and firmware updates are also required. So software updates is also the necessary task for the system. Then fourth one is the anti-spyware software. Now anti-spyware software, what is that? A computer program that attempts to identify and remove spyware from a protected computer. This software can be classified as part of the confidentiality category. So it is a part of the confidentiality. So how whenever you are getting some message from that spyware from a protected computer, then there is no worry for that. As example, we can take the Symantec antivirus now includes this function for the confidentiality, or there is another freeware such as Spybot, Search and Destroy. Microsoft is also giving the that inbuilt own version called Windows Defender. We all know about the Windows Defender. So Microsoft Defender, that Microsoft is providing its version for the anti-spyware software. So it is also helpful for making our system secure. Fifth one, that is a file encryption software. So encryption is also the encryption algorithm is also important for the security purpose. Like computer programs that will take data stored on a media device and apply an encryption algorithm to it in order to render the data unreadable to those without proper access. Without proper access, that cannot allow. So this software would be part of the confidentiality category. An example of this software is Credent Technologies Mobile Guardian. Microsoft includes this as an option on Active Directory enabled operating system. If you are going in the Microsoft operating system, so Active Directory is the part of the file encryption software. So it is a part of the confidentiality category. Then sixth one, implement physical security. So measures workstation must be configured to require a password to access the system. Enable screen locking features to prevent unauthorized access to one's machine while not in use. Any exceptions such as public terminals, kiosk or lab computer should be documented. Sometimes what happens if electricity is gone and during that whole network is slabs, then that kiosk may be happened. So for that purpose, this physical security of the network is also important. So also you are required to make the backup for the whole system. So this would be the classified in the confidentiality and integrity categories of the security. Then seventh one is the disable unnecessary services. Never enable all services which are available in the system. So unnecessary services are required to be disabled. So many operating systems may be configured by default. Sometimes it may be by default can become to permit access to one system from other computers on a networks. So an assessment should be performed to identify all services enabled on a system. Any unnecessary services should be disabled and any exceptions like services left enabled due to business or operational requirements documented. Then limit use of privileged accounts. So don't give that privilege to all the accounts. So keep the limitation for that. So sometimes under certain circumstances, normal users may be issued system accounts that have administrative or privileged access to a system. So we are also making in the system, we are making the admin and the guest account. So don't give all the privileges to the all users or accounts which have. So admin have the more privileges can be given, and for the guest that may be limited. So user should be limit the use of these accounts to the specific task requiring them. So which task can be for the specific task we can give the limitation and not use them for a genuine work purposes. Then host based firewall software. So firewall is also important. Host-based firewalls help protect individual systems from malicious attacks initiated by other systems on a computer network. Workstations are required to have locally installed firewall software and have it configured in a secure manner by the chief security officer. So it should be always maintained by the chief security officer that firewall is working properly or not, it is on or not, or during the configuration it is configured or not, during the configuration it is maintained or not. So it is essential for the whole system. Then OS, operating system patch management software. So there are multiple variations of patch management software available. So some require a managed environment to accomplish patching a desktop, where others allows the desktop to update themselves on their own schedule. So that patches can be, that fixed bugs can be selected, and based on that we can provide the security in the software. So either way, it is the mean that the operating system receives the minor fixes to fix bugs or security vulnerabilities in the software. Now, which best practices we are required to follow for the desktop security? So mainly, we all know that our password has to be strong during our network in the organization. That has to be that's whole security concerns has to be required to follow all the policy for the desktop security. So all computer operating system have vulnerabilities, are subject to security risk, right? During the whole campus, in the college campus or any organization, that compromised computer can affect other computers and disrupt services throughout the campus. In order to reduce this risk of successful intrusion and to minimize the damages, some basic steps and procedures are required to be followed to minimize the security exposures and resulting disruptions. On desktop security, it may state that all unattended IT equipment must have appropriate and approved security protection, like keep operating system patches up to date, use encryption to security encode sensitive information. Only for the sensitive information you can put the encryption algorithms. Install antivirus software, configure it for daily updates. Install and during the installation of the antivirus software, you are required to put the daily updates. So reminder for that you can put also. Install and configure a personal firewall. Keep application and software patches up to date during the as example Microsoft Office and everything, browser, different types of browsers, whatever you are using. Follow best practices when opening email attachments. During the opening your emails, you are required to be aware for that. Follow secure password policies. Follow best practices for user account security. Eliminate unnecessary network services, applications and processes. Avoid peer-to-peer file sharing. Install and configure anti-spyware programs. Configure system restore points to protect your current configuration. Perform regularly scheduled backups to protect data. Turn off computer when not in use to restrict physical access in the computer. Then patching applications and software. So operating systems require patchings to correct security flaws. So for any applications, please make sure that your application have been patched and are up to date. Patching is also required in order for the application to operate properly with the operating system, as it changes over time due to patching. In order to update Microsoft Office as example, we can take for Windows or for Mac OS, for the Macintosh Open OS, one of the programs like Word, Excel, Access and PowerPoint. Click the Help button and select Check for updates. For all this application you are required to make the updates in regular basis. So some password policies you are required to follow. So password should be changed at least once every 90 days. So you during the changing the password and providing and getting the policies for that password, usernames and password are the primary means of the authentications. So first whenever you are opening your software or system, the name of the user and password is the essential term for the authentication used to access any desktop system. So the point in creating a password is to make the password as hard as possible to guess or crack. So for guessing it may be hard for the intruders. There are numerous programs and applications that can be used to crack passwords. So for that we are required to make our password very strong. But if the password is complex enough and properly constructed, these attempts can be thwarted to a large extent. So password should be changed at least once every 90 days. So what are the characteristics of weak password? A poor weak password has the following characteristics. The password contains less than 8 characters. So that can be considered as a weak password. That can be considered as a poor password. The password is a word found in a dictionary. As example, you are writing that name beautiful, or you are writing that name word that available in the dictionary, that is good, of that your system's password. That can be considered as a weak password. The password is a common usage such as names of family, pets, friends, co-workers. As example, these types of password can be considered as a weak password. Computer terms and names, commands, sites, companies, hardware, software, birthdays and other personal information such as addresses and phone numbers. Sometimes you are giving the password as a phone number or birth date. Word or number patterns like AA, ABC, ABC, XYZ. Any of the above spelled backwards, BC, BA, then any of the above preceded or followed by ABC 1, 2, 3, that can be also considered as a weak password. Then what can be the characteristics of the strong password? So strong password contain both upper and lower case characteristics, have digits and punctuation characters as well as letters, be at least 8 alphanumeric characters long, not be a word in any language, slang, dialect, jargon, etc. Not based on personal information, names of family, mobile number, etc. Never be written down or stored online. Try to create password which is not can be easily remembered. So that can be a strong password. So dear students, thank you for listening this lecture for cybersecurity applications. I am very thankful to this university for providing me the opportunity to give the lecture. Now, we have covered in this today's lecture about the desktop security, definition of the desktop security, which are the policies we are required to be followed during the desktop security, which types of passwords can be considered as a weak password and strong password. So these are all the terms we have considered during the desktop security. Thank you everyone.